All right. Brian Campbell is here, your champion of the Mexico Open. Man, I've got to imagine for you, it's been a whirlwind 48 hours for you. But break it down for me. What's it been like, man? What was Sunday evening like, and what have the past few couple of days been like after getting your first PGA Tour victory?
It has been absolutely mayhem, but in the best possible way. Um, right after the final putt went in, basically just did media and stuff and all local and volunteers for about 2-3 hours. Um, and I was, celebrating with champagne and beer and zero food in my stomach, so I was feeling great. But no, I was so over the moon and just excited to do everything. Wanted to really just show my support and how much I'm thankful for how a golf tournament's run. I mean, this stuff that goes overlooked, and how you set up a golf tournament and the golf course. And but yeah, we didn't really get back to our room until like 9 p.m. Ran to get a quick dinner. Had to run back and pack up because we had to get up at like 4 a.m. for a charter flight to
Yeah.
go from Mexico to Palm Beach,
Yeah.
and then got here pretty late on Monday, maybe 5 or 6 p.m. And by that time, Kelsey and I were finally able to take a breath and kind of just recharge a little bit, get some food, and neither of us have been sleeping that great,
Yeah.
but it's all been, like I said, just good problems. This is what we work so hard for, is to
Yeah.
to feel this way. So it's been crazy, and even this week, just you know, the week after a win is just as crazy. You got a lot of people congratulating you, and just I'm just honestly, I'm just excited and over the moon this week, and just trying to get back down to earth and get some rest and energy.
I bet, man. Well, I do have a couple questions that I want to ask you about Honda this week, or Cognizant, I should say. But one or two more final things on Mexico. I mean, the number one thing that I'm curious about is if there was a moment in that tournament, or maybe it was even before the tournament started, where you were noticing on a Tuesday or Wednesday, man, something's starting to click. Something feels a little bit different about this week. Or if it kind of happened at a moment in the tournament, maybe on Thursday or Friday, where you had that moment. Maybe it was after a certain good stretch of golf, or when you first checked the leaderboard and saw that you were really in this thing. But was there a moment for you last week where you allowed yourself to start believing that maybe all the cards were going to break in your favor?
It was kind of weird in that sense where it really didn't. I didn't think too much about it until Sunday to start the back nine. All week long, I knew I was playing good. I knew I was up at the top of the leaderboard. But if I'm honest, it was one of the first weeks where I really didn't think about winning. It was just kind of like, I was just prepared every day to just go out and do my thing and see what happened. There was, I'm pretty sure it was my second round, the second hole of the day. I holed out a 150-yard shot with a wedge, and for eagle, and I think that was a moment where Cooper and I looked at each other and we're like, that was pretty weird. But
Yeah.
if you're getting bounces like that and bounces off bamboo trees as well, I think it's your week.
God. Well, I have to do a full hand up on this one, Brian, because my entire job is looking at data, interpreting data on certain golf courses, and making informed decisions about what player is going to play well at which certain golf course. And I have to be honest with you, and I hope you do not take this as an insult in any way, shape, or form, but you were not on, or I should say, Vedanta Vyarta is not the type of golf course that I would typically peg as the type of golf course that emphasizes what you're best at. Like
Mhm.
if I look at statistically, and I always love talking to players on this because sometimes I will tell them what the data says and they will say, gosh, that's super interesting. Like I feel like I actually am chipping the ball really well right now, or that's crazy that I'm above field average in this. I feel like this is the part of my game that I'm least confident in right now. But I mean, man, Vedanta Vyarta, by my numbers, is one of the most distance advantageous golf course on the entire PGA Tour. And I'm sure you realize that while playing it. I mean, there were par four holes where you had 250 yards in. But the reason why you won, at least via the numbers, is that you were a top three long iron player in the field. I mean, it didn't matter that guys were hitting the ball 30 or 40 yards farther than them off the tee because your 7 wood was better than their 5 iron. Do you feel like, did you feel that this past week? Did you feel like, oh man, this golf course is really long and it's going to put a tremendous amount of pressure in my long irons? And holy crap, man, you rose to the table with that 7 wood and those long irons. I mean, you ranked
Yeah.
nearly first in the entire field in approach.
Wow. Well, yeah. I mean, first and foremost, I think everybody should go out there and get themselves a 7 wood. It's a great club to have in the bag. But no, I mean, the funny thing is, you talk about stats, and I could not be more opposite. It seems like the weeks that I expect myself to not really have much of a chance are the weeks that I actually had my best finishes. I mean, you look at last year on the Corn Ferry,
Yeah,
my second place finish in Colorado is a bomber's paradise.
totally.
And then in Bogota, when I was in playoff and got
Even
second,
Boise a little bit where you finished seventh.
yeah. So Cooper always makes the joke that like it. I guess at this point it doesn't really matter. The weeks that it seems the course does not fit me, I seem to play better, and the courses that fit me, maybe not so much. So it is. I don't have an answer for you, but it seems like um, I don't know. Maybe it makes me lock in more on other parts of my game, or maybe it just helps me just own the fact that hey, we're gonna be 270 to 300 off the tee every hole, and that's what it is.
Well, that's kind of what I was wondering, and this is a question that my friend and I were chatting about as soon as I found out that I was going to talk to you, and he said you have to ask him if he has practiced and gotten specifically so good with the 7 woods and the long irons, knowing that as a PGA Tour golfer, there's just going to be a lot of weeks a year whether it's Vedanta Vyarta or you're going to run into the same issues at Pinehurst where you made the cut, I might add, when you were still on the Corn Ferry Tour. But do you feel like the lack of distance off the tee has made you that much better of a player from 200 yards plus? And have you ever felt, I mean, I talk to players and caddies all the time, and there are some players that are like obsessed with the distance race. I mean, seriously, like the amount of time that they spend speed training. And by the way, I was a competitive junior golfer and spent my entire childhood growing up playing AJGA events. That was not a thing when I was growing up. Like they didn't, and I'm sure you had the same experience because you're in your 30s as well. Like they didn't teach you like speed. That was not something that was talked about in junior golf. Have you thought about it? Have you kind of just said, I need to add this now being on the PGA Tour, or am I just going to get really good at the long iron play and know that I could beat them in another way?
It's it's going back to your point, yeah, that's not how we grew up playing. It was never a focus of ours. Um it was entirely about the short stuff. Can you putt, can you chip, can you hit your irons, and then driving was just all about getting in the fairway. But
Yeah.
I think we've seen the golf courses move the tees back. I think we've seen courses just get huge. We've seen the technology improve. So I think nowadays a lot of the technology these days is really helping guys get it out there 20, 30 yards further than they've ever hit it. So for a lot of guys, it's actually opened the game up for them with the driver. But I've always been this way, and a large focus of mine is more about the off speed
Yeah.
stuff. Whether that's with driver or down the line with everything. I think learning how to control your speed is my focus. Now I've been injured for a couple of years, and so there has been a focus of mine to get strong again. I don't think I've had the swing speed that I used to have when I was 19, 20, 21 years old. But it's weird. I feel like I'm almost stronger than I've ever been. So I think the distance and the speed will come back naturally. But I think, you know, speaking to a young audience out there, you got to stay focused on the short stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And, if we had more time and we're sitting here and we're sitting down for like an hour-long interview, I would dive far deeper into this with you because I'm fascinated by uh what the preparation looks like for you in terms of what you focus on a week to week basis and kind of marrying what I'm seeing in the numbers
Mm-hmm.
versus what is actually top of mind for you is like always it's part of the most fascinating aspect of my job. But I want to ask you about PGA National this week. And that's something that, I think about a lot in terms of players that are spending their first full year on the PGA Tour. Have you ever seen this golf course before? And did you get out there to play a practice round? And what were your early impressions?
Yes. So my first year in Q school was actually here at the Honda. We played, I think it was once on the Nicholas or the Fazio
Yep.
course, and then we also played the Bear Trap course. And it's a tough test. Let me tell
Yeah.
you, it's no Vedanta.
Narrower off the tee, more stuff to worry about off the tee, which I think is a good thing for you personally.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's my caddy says. It's weird how this course seems to almost fit you better.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I
But
agree with that.
yeah, I think you just got to be a lot more accurate off the tee. It's really just a positional golf course. You got to be in the fairway if you want to attack any of these pins. These greens are good. They're forgiving, but they
Softer,
really,
right? Like you guys have gotten some rain.
it,
Receptive. I mean, attackable.
yeah. And also they've changed it from Bermuda to overseed. So chipping, from what I hear, has gotten easier for a lot
Yep.
of guys around the greens. So I think compared to years past, it's going to play different than what a lot of people expect it to. Now, I actually haven't played a single hole of a practice round this week. That's kind of been the focus of mine is, hey, we need to get back to, get our energy back up, get
Yeah.
food in our system. That's kind of been the focus this week. And yeah, I've gotten some prep and, putting and got to the range, seeing how the grass feels. But yeah, so I think, this week's going to be wildly different than last week. We're going to,
Great.
you need to be in the fairway. Um, and we'll see if it stays soft. It could be a birdie fest, but if it firms up, it could be a test. So we'll see.
I was thinking that too. I mean, just for comparison's sake, and I know you haven't gotten out and played all of the holes yet, but do you look at this golf course? Because last week you shot 20 under at Vedanta Vyarta. Do you look at this golf course and say to yourself, okay, this is a 20 under week, or this is a 12 to 15 under week?
Yeah, it's got to be more of a 10 to 15
Mhm.
under week. I think if
Yeah.
you
Just because of the water and hazards off the tee, I would imagine. The par
yeah,
threes are still really difficult, but
there's
again,
gonna
I think it's another edge for you.
there's gonna be some wonky stuff that happens out there. But if you can string together 4 solid rounds under par, even a couple under, I think you're going to be in contention come Sunday. So as long as you don't shoot yourself out of it and just kind of play solid golf, this is a good place for you.
Okay, I gotta ask you before we get out of here, man. I need th I need you to take me through the 7 to 10 seconds in your head between making contact with that drive on 18 that hit the infamous tree and seeing that ball bouncing back. I would imagine the complete cycle of emotions. I mean, did you immediately know as soon as you made contact, "Oh, no"? What was going through your head during those, incredibly, stressful couple of seconds there?
Oh yeah, I mean, just like any golfer in the world, the second that thing comes off your face, you're like,
Oh,
oh,
no.
yeah. I'll be honest, I thought it was over.
Yeah,
It did. I was fighting some grip issues all day. It was very humid and sweaty, and unfortunately, it was just the wrong hole to have the grip move in my hand and open the face a little too much, and so um, it sliced immediately, and I was like, yeah. I mean, my heart sunk. I thought it was over, and to see that ball bounce back in was just a grace of God, really. But the second we were back in it, we had to lock back in. We had to be like, hey, we can still do something here. We're still in a playoff. So props to my caddy for helping
yeah.
me do that, and it's just crazy how it finished.
Awesome, man. Well, we will be cheering you on over at Inside Sports Network for the rest of the year. If you ever want my input from a data side on the golf course or my observations in terms of like, there's a golf course that you should hit driver a lot, or there's a golf course that really highlights or emphasizes short game skill or anything like that, you have my number now, and I would love to sit down with you for a longer discussion on just your experience, your journey to the PGA Tour. It's been somewhat unconventional with you battling injuries for a large portion of your professional career, but man, I got to imagine things are changing going forward, right? You're in signature events now and Masters. We'll see at Augusta.
Yeah, we'll see at Augusta. I mean, it's crazy watching. Now you watch Masters highlights, and it kind of hits you different, knowing that you're going to be there this year. So I'm just absolutely over the moon. I'm so happy, even for my family too. It's just
Yeah.
absolute blessing. We're starting to look at the schedule differently, so
Yeah.
these are all fun problems to have. So we're just
Yeah.
excited to move forward.
Bay Hill next week too, right? I mean, you'll be in that field now too.
Yeah.
Talk about like a thick, rough, hard,
Oh yeah.
long, hacking long irons out of the rough golf course.
Yeah. You better be in the fairway, and you better make pars when you can.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you local to where do you spend when you're not on the road? Where's your current home?
It's in Bluffton, South
Okay.
Carolina,
Oh yeah,
close
sure.
to the
Sure.
Hilton Head area. Yeah.
Know it well. I was just in South Carolina this past November, checking out a bunch of the Aiken courses. Your tree farms and old Barnwells down there. So yeah, they've got some great golf down there. Brian, this is an absolute pleasure. Thank you for taking the time to chat with me, and first of more in the future. Hopefully, we'll be cheering you on at Honda this week.
All right. Awesome. Well, thanks for having me. This has been really fun, and I really enjoyed it.
Thanks, man. You got it.
All right.